Welcome to another episode of The Disruptors, where we're arming you with the tools you need to innovate within the physical therapy space by highlighting those who have come before you. I'm your host, Stephen Cohen. Now, let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of The Disruptors, where we're highlighting innovative folks within the physical therapy industry. Today, I'm blessed to be joined by Dr. Dequine, who is the owner of Freedom Physical Therapy and Training Center here in Shawnee, Kansas. Very happy to be live with you today. I could give your background, but since you're here with me, I'd love for you to give folks just a quick bio on you, and then we'll get into the first question, which is, why did you get into PT?
Yeah, great. Well, before we do that, I just got to say how much I appreciate you and I appreciate Sarah Health. I got connected with Steven just on a whim, honestly. We were a little bit in a crunch and I needed some help. And I just searched RTM on private practice section. And there was a picture of Sarah Health. I'm like, man, let's get connected. Let's see how this is. And when we did that first little phone call, like, where are you at? I'm like, Kansas City? Because you always start with Kansas City. And then it narrowed down. You're like, no, where are you at in Kansas City? And I'm like, Shawnee? And then you're like, hey, man, I'm in Brookside. So that's how we connected. But just really appreciate you. Love that you're here in Kansas City. You're doing amazing things in the software tech company or industry, I should say. And it's cool that it's here in Kansas City, right? I'm from the Bay Area. And so that's what I think of when I think of tech, right? I think of Bay Area. And so I grew up in that world, in that realm. Went to a school, Azusa Pacific, to play soccer. And that wasn't where I was headed initially. I thought I was headed to bigger, grandiose things. And then I had a big snowboarding accident at 17. And it broke my neck. And it was kind of one of those scenarios where the physicians were telling my parents the likelihood that I survived was relatively high, but for me to walk again was very, very low. And so that's the initiation and the start of the journey that took me to the path that I'm at. So again, I had these big soccer plans. A lot of athletes tend to get riddled by some form of injury, and then your plans change. Those plans took me to a NAIA school, but that school changed my life. It was just an incredible opportunity. And it was right about then that I started realizing something about the health industry and the body is so amazing. How could a doctor tell me that I'm not going to walk? But then the next day I wake up from surgery and I'm just like, good to go, And, and I just was really intrigued by that. And so I always kind of had that in the back of my mind, but I didn't think that I was smart enough. I didn't think that I was intelligent enough to go into the medical industry. And there's a huge, long history that we can get into about that. But the reality of it is I was one of the first of 6 kids to go to college in my family. So with regards to standardized testing, that was not something that we did as a family. My dad was a police officer. My mom was an insurance agent. And so it was very blue collar. Yep. It was a very blue collar family. And again, I have 4 brothers and they decided not to go the college route. Thankfully my sister did. But again, it wasn't something that I had as preview for my life. It was, so I didn't think that the medical industry was something that I could do. So that's I'm going into my story. By the way, I'm going into my story. This is also the bio and the story. Absolutely. 2 questions into one. So after school, got a degree in psychology. Again, same kind of story. I applied for marriage and family therapy schools. That was my goal. I was wanting to get into marriage and family therapy just because I wanted to help people. That was really what it is. So I'm like, I can get into mental health, maybe, like I might not be able to do a doctor type thing, but I can get into mental health. No, they wouldn't accept me. And it was based off of my GRE score. So I literally just kept the same story going. I got accepted into undergrad on academic probation just because I was decent at soccer. Yep. Then I graduated school, which I did really well at, actually. Honestly, I got great grades because I actually learned how to study. But my GRE score was so poor that I just, they're like, we literally cannot take you because if we take you, we're going to have to change our marketing and because of your score. So they're like, just go retake it. And at the time, I thought standardized testing was like an IQ type of test. Yep. And I'm like, what do you mean retake it? I'm just going to get the same score. That's my IQ. I cannot, make that better than it is. So that's kind of the preface of my life, of where I've come from. So hard work, achieving, blue collar, just grind out, kind of the initiation of it. So that's how it started. I know I didn't quite get into the bio of where I'm at, but I think laying the foundation, the groundwork is probably a good start.
Oh, it's a great start. And I worked my way through college. Now, granted, it was for my dad and some oil leases that he owns in Southeast Kansas. But that was our deal. Is I worked 4 summers and 4 winters for him, and he gave me 4 years of college. So that was our deal. And I will tell you that there is no worse title in the oil fields than boss's boy.
Okay. Yeah,
I learned a lot there, and so when I hear you tell your story and the blue collar background and all of that, there's so many valuable lessons that you learn growing up in that way. That you're just brute force willing to grind it out, and then also how much your word means to others. Right. I'm reading I love this book right now, but it's called The Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey. And it's really boils down, I'm not through it yet, but boils down to me to, if you can show strong character, so integrity, and then that you're driven by a series of principles and not just the whims and waves of the world, and that also you have competence, and that when you say you're going to do something, you actually do it. Like those two things, it creates immediate trust, or not immediate, sorry, intense trust within folks. And I really like his way of doing it, just because it's not trust in like a deceiving, like slimy type of way. It's just like, here's how to do it. And for me, like it further reinforces at least our commitment, not only my personal one, but value we have at Sarah Health. Just like we respond within 24 hours, no matter what. And beyond that, like when we say we're going to do something, we do, or we tell you like, hey, sorry, it's not going to be here for a week or whatever it is. But this is not about us, not about Sarah, not about that. What I would like to transition to now is
real quick. Sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
I don't feel like you should be reading books on that, dude. You should be writing books on that. Because it's true. And that's something that attracted, us, my wife and I, and Freedom to Sarah Health and you, was you respond quick, right? You're confident with your words, and definitely Sarah Health's model goes after that. So I'm just really thankful for that. It's really true. It rings true.
That's very kind. I appreciate it. It's good to hear that our focus and intensity on it is well received. So I appreciate that very much. And so you mentioned that the neck injury, right, was a big changing, a turning point in your life. And so I would imagine that's your why behind physical therapy. But is it something else? Maybe a little bit of A, a little bit of B?
Yeah. So again, I broke my neck, and the truth of the matter was I still thought I was dumb, right? So it's kind of this situation. Well, what do I do? Right? And soccer was my identity. That was my why.
Yeah.
And that got completely stripped away very quickly. But I got a second chance, right? I got redemption, that I got to play in college, and that was a big time thing for me. But it was a Christian school.
Yeah.
And I was able to start to put some things together from my past that, God was with me the entire time.
Yeah.
So it was a combination not only of just the identity of soccer potentially being stripped away, getting a second chance, having this reality that God's been there the entire time. And going back to my parents, what you described as trust, I got the master class of that from my dad.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So he was a police officer his whole life. He was in the Navy before that. So he's very much black and white, right? And he was very much, loving and caring and teaching, but man, it was black or white. There wasn't. So I definitely felt like I got a master's class in that. And my mom, man, she was always so faithful. Just always praying, constantly, taking us to church, giving us this idea that God is real. And so the culmination of that's probably my why, is getting a second chance, reflecting back on my life, going to a private Christian college where I got just so much education backed by just a belief.
Yeah.
And that's where it kind of came to this no blind faith, right? I think I thought faith was blind before. And then I get there and I start learning about it, at high theology levels.
Yeah.
With some really amazing professors. So I was able to put some footwork to that as well. I'm like, oh man, this is incredible. So going into physical therapy, this industry was not something that I felt was possible.
Yeah.
Because of my abilities and how smart I was, or at that point. So it was just a far stretch. But I got to tell you also, I worked as a tech at a physical therapy practice.
Really?
I did. After I broke my neck, I worked there for 3 years.
Okay.
3 summers.
What was the practice name?
I cannot tell you, and I will not tell you. And the reason why I will not tell you, even though I absolutely love the people that were there. In fact, the people that were there, they really took good care of me. And the truth of the matter is they loved their patients. They really, really did. But the reason I'm not going to say what I'm about to, the name of it, is because what I experienced, and this was late 90s, early 2000s, it seemed like they had no idea really what they were doing, and they were like a back office to a doctor.
Yep.
And I was the tech who spent 90% of the time with the patient, and then 90% of that time was setting them up with like 40 heat packs, right? And like stem electrodes everywhere.
Yep.
Or ice packs or things like that. So the PT would work with them for 5 minutes doing something manually, right? And then they'd hand me off to the tech to do 1 or 2 little exercises. Then I would set them up on that stuff. And there'd be like 20 tables in this clinic. And there'd be 20 people hanging out at the health spa. And at that time, all the PTs were driving Mercedes.
I bet.
And I'm like, wait a second here. These guys looked miserable to you. They loved the patient. They loved the helping. But I don't know that they were getting the results that they were really wanting.
Yeah.
Right? And again, that's just hindsight, what I know now. But man, I just looked at that and I told myself, I will never do this job in my entire life. And that was from 17, 18, and 19 years old.
There's a couple pieces I want to hit on there. Yeah. You mentioned the comment on blind faith. Then there's a great, in my opinion, quote by Craig Groeschel of Life Church, and he says that faith without action is not faith at all.
Yeah.
And I to me, that's what you're talking about. Blind faith. Blind faith to me feels very passive, right? Like something's good is going to happen to me, right? Versus true faith is, I know, and this is my belief, but I know that I need to continue to serve in a way. My heart needs to be in the right place. My mind needs to be in the right place to serve the Lord through the works. And I do see Sarah Health as a way to be able to improve the lives of others, both on the clinician. I mean, really 3 places: the practice owner, who is up late at night trying to figure out how they're going to make payroll and how they're going to increase revenue per visit and be able to keep the lights on, to be able to give care and give the access to care that is going to be, it's needed today and it's only going to get worse, right? With the silver tsunami that's coming, or whatever name they want to put on our aging population. And then you move into the clinician themselves, which now is coming out of school with $300,000 of debt, probably making less than $100,000 a year. That's insane. Like, that's it, right? It's absolutely insane. And so if there's any way we can drive more profit into the business, then we, knowing the owners that we work with, I know there's going to be some amount of that is pushed down to the clinician. So they get that. They get more data from the patient, and the patient gets a better outcome, right? So, not everyone on our team, feels the same way as I do, at least from a religious standpoint. But I think that's beautiful, right? Sure. We have people on our team that don't believe. We have people on our team from other religions. I think it's actually wonderful to have that diversity of thought.
Sure.
But at least for me, I do see it as a work to be able to serve in that manner. And then the other piece is you saw what you didn't want.
Yeah.
And I know we were talking about the episode with Maggie Hincham, who had a very similar quote, right? It was like, I saw what I didn't like, and then I went and built my own thing. So how did you get over that mental block of like, I don't want to do this? And probably looking at it like PT holistically, like I don't want to do PT, and getting into it. And then, how did you get over that block?
Yeah. So in college, after I'd broken my neck, I started playing 8 weeks after I broke my neck after this.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah, this was 2001. Not sure what was going on. Now that I know what I know now, it just terrified me to think about it. But there's also some pros of not knowing what you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
The neurosurgeon said, hey, you're good. Your bone's fused. Like, go. And I'm like, all right, 17-year-old kid, let's go.
Yep.
My parents, blue collar, trust everything the doctor said.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So there's some benefits of that. But I started playing right away. And what was your question again? I don't even know why I went to that.
How did you get over that mental block?
That's
getting into PT.
Yeah. So again, going back to it, I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yep.
Right. But when I got to soccer in college, I realized one of two things. Okay. Either I was a big fish in a small pond before the neck injury when I played soccer, and then I just got to college and everyone's better. Or, which is part of the post that I know now, when you have a spinal cord injury, you lose some competitiveness.
Yeah.
And like my athleticism almost was gone. Right. I just wasn't athletic. I wasn't, as gifted as I thought I was. So I started working at a gym with a personal trainer.
Yep.
And I asked him, I said, hey, if I wipe your tables, if I, lead some classes or do whatever I can, would you just give me workouts so that I could work out in the summers? And he's like, absolutely, yes. So he became one of the best mentors of my life. But in that season of me working out with him, I realized, I'm like, if I put work in the gym, I actually do better on the soccer field.
Yep.
And then one year, tore my hamstring because I always did. And I went up to, the guy's name was Ramel, and I'm like, no, I cannot work out today. My hamstring feels like it's going to fall off. And he goes, nope, you're going to work out, and we're going to work out together. I'm going to do this with you. He put me through a 3-hour workout with my hamstring feeling like it's going to fall off. But then all of a sudden it started feeling better.
Yep.
Within this 3 hours. And I'm like, what in the heck? Because everything in my mind was shut it down, it hurts.
Yep.
And he's like, no, we're going to work it.
Yep.
All right. And we're going to work it until it starts feeling better. And that blew my mind. And it actually felt better. And so from that season of really working hard in the gym, I got injured less on the soccer field. So I started shifting towards everything before was shut things down. And I just experienced keep going, right?
Yep.
Appropriately. And strength training, and that just blew my world. So that's how it started to shift, was this idea, this concept of, holy cow, if I strengthen, if I actually use the muscles appropriately, I actually might heal versus shut it down, wait until it feels better. So that's how it started shifting.
And that's the Louis Simmons, right? Competition prep playbook. That's one of the lines in his playbook, which is, if there is something that's weak or injured or bothering you, 12 weeks out, even 4 weeks out, that's the thing you're working on. Oh, your quad hurts. Guess what? You're going to do quad extensions until you're blue in the face, or for the next 4 weeks, and you're just going to hammer that area.
Yeah.
And so, as you're telling that story, I just remember hearing Louis on a podcast, talking about that, and it's perfect, 1-to-1.
Right. And the thing is, it's one thing to hear, it's another thing to experience.
Yeah.
And I did that at a young age. So that's how it starts sparking into me, this idea of physical health, right? Strength training, using the body appropriately to heal itself.
Yep.
Rather than just sit, wait, rest, and take medicine. Right. So that's where it really was sparked. Now, full circle the belief that I could actually be a physical therapist.
Yes.
So that's kind of this idea that it could possibly work. I had the history of sitting in that clinic where people were just getting hot packs.
Yep.
That's what I thought physical therapy was.
Yep.
That was my experience, right? Why would I want to go do physical therapy when I'm just going to put hot packs on people? My experience was that I needed to move and do something, right? I'm stupid, so I can't do anything medically related, right? So this is my narrative.
Yeah.
Okay. Fast forward into after undergrad, tried to go into marriage and family therapy.
Yep.
That failed miserably, like I said, then I started working as a personal trainer for that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually doing personal training. And then I was volunteer at my church, and they're like, hey, we've got this sports ministry. Would you mind jumping in and helping us with it? Like, no problem. I was already volunteering at the church.
Yeah.
So I started doing that. Started falling in love with the administrative side of it. That ministry started ramping up. And then the guy's like, hey, you're actually pretty good at this. Are you interested in doing full time? Like, yeah, no problem. Full time ministry.
Yeah.
Where I'm actually getting paid.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Plus, I can do the personal training stuff on the side. That's easy. Personal training on the side, full time ministry. Then I went from there to where there was a school attached and they needed an 8th grade Bible teacher. I was 22 years old, 23 years old. Like, would you teach Bible? I'm like, heck yeah, let's go. So this is how it started, to give me the tools that I needed to be where I am today.
Yep.
During that time, there was a church merge. Right, 2 churches came together, had a lot of pastors on staff. A lot of my friends were getting fired left and right, rightfully so, because 2 things are coming together. You have 2 pastors for everything.
Yep.
And they had a high impact leader come. His name was Chip Ingram, and he was very influential in kind of the Bible movement back in the 90s and into the early 2000s. And he took the job as the head pastor.
Right.
Now, this dude came to know God through sports. And I was the sports pastor. So you could tell that he had a kinship and just a liking for me as a person and even the role that I was in at the church.
Yep.
And that guy kind of took me under his wing. And I learned so much from him about leadership and mentorship and belief, really. So real quick, during that time of animosity, of everyone getting fired in a church setting, which if y'all been in some type of merge in a business, guys, it's messy in a church, right? Because you put God in anything, and it's like, oh, you can't do that. Like, we're a church, and you're like, oh my God, oh man, it was just messy.
I can imagine.
Yeah, and I was on both sides of it. There was times I'm like, hey man, you fired my friend. Yeah, did it horribly, and I'm 23 years old, so what do I know at that time? But no, so bringing the story back together, he said, we now have our team. We have to go do team building. So he paid the church, whoever, a ton of money for this really, really high impact executive leadership team to come and teach us how to be a team. And one of these sessions, right, towards the end, I'll never forget it. The guy says, okay, I want you to go home and do a homework project because I want you to write out your mission statement.
Yeah.
Like, who are you? Write your mission statement.
Yep.
So all 26 pastors go home, write their mission statements. They come back. Every single one will start reading off, and it's all our ministry's mission statements. So I'm a sports minister, right? So I can't remember it now. That's not good. But I had a ministry mission statement. This is what it is. And every single one of us failed the task that he was asking us. It's like, great, your ministry has one. Well, what about you as a person?
Yep.
Because if you don't have the why, if you're not driving what's happening and you just have the ministry's, mission, it's going to fail 10 out of 10 times.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. And so that's when I realized I need to sit down, figure out who I am, which is really hard to do in your 20s, period.
I mean, just hard to do. Like, full stop at that.
Actually, good point. Yeah. So I'm a 23-year-old guy, hanging out with these really, really high impact leaders who are 50s, 60s, 70s, and I'm 22, right? Just thinking I'm cool. Then I had this awesome opportunity to really sit back and reflect. So some really cool things happened at that. So to answer your question in a long narrative form, really cool things happened at that moment.
Oh, absolutely. one of the pieces that you talked about there that sticks out to me personally is this idea that your self, I guess, labeled identity didn't match with that of a physical therapist, or like basically that next level that you wanted to be at. And that just resonates with me for so well, especially, you being from the Bay Area, which is known for technology, right? And me very much not being from the Bay Area, for pros and cons, right? And even when I was in business school, top 20 business school at UCLA, and launching Sarah Health out of that, like even at that point was still like, man, I don't know, like I'm just a Kansas City guy. I grew up in the Midwest, like I don't.
Imposter syndrome.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't belong there.
Yeah, exactly. Like it wasn't until our first investor, his name's Brandon Child from the Bay Area, and it was a classmate, and saw from the very start, very first class, that Sarah was like a germ of an idea, and saw it progress all the way through up until graduation. And he, as I said, I'm going to launch this thing, and we just gotten into Techstars Kansas City, and he's like, I want to write a check. And I was like, what do you mean? So he had a startup that got acquired and during business school, and he's like, I want to bet on you.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, like why? He's like, because I believe in you. And that's when my mind actually finally opened up to, like, you can do this too. But it took someone to be able to like open that for me. And that one conversation and that one check, like that one moment was so pivotal. And it doesn't need to be, in my mind, right? It doesn't need to be that exact story for everybody else, but for those listening that have the opportunity to mentor and to coach, you never know what that one iota of effort from you will cause, right? It's the butterfly effect.
Exactly right.
And so, I love that story. So let's fast forward a little bit, right? So we're here at Freedom Physical Therapy and Training Center. How did you start?
How did I start Freedom? Yeah. So I went into PT school with 100% mindset that I was going to start my own practice.
Yeah.
And again, part of that leadership that I learned was that direction, not intention, leads to destination.
Yep.
So you have to have a roadmap of where it is that you want to go. And part of that, this is Andy Stan, this is other pastors, thought process here. In order to know where you're going, you need to look in the rearview mirror of where you've come from. That's really how you can direct the roadmap. And so when I look in my rearview mirror, I realized, okay, broke my neck, doing something physically that I absolutely loved, right? Just absolutely loved it. Got into personal training, had that experience of my hamstring and realizing that the body works for itself rather than resting. So that's physical. So I'm like, okay, God put something in my heart and my head. That's physical in nature. I was a psychology major, and I really loved helping people. That was something that I just absolutely loved. I loved listening to people. And I loved coming up with ideas and strategies to help them so that they can improve. So that was another one. So mental. Okay, so physical, mental. Man, my belief is strong. We talk about the no blind faith. God had captured my heart early when I was a child, and he walked me through it, saved my life, gave me a second chance. So the mission statement I ended up writing was, I belong on this planet to help people from where they are to where they should and could be physically, mentally, and spiritually.
I like that.
What industry gives you the opportunity to do that outside of physical therapy? We're in the medical industry where we get to build relationships with patients. 6, 8 weeks, maybe 8 months, maybe a year. And you build those relationships. You pour into people. Right? And they're physically coming.
They pour into you.
Yeah. And they're physically hurt. Right?
Vulnerable.
But they're emotionally vulnerable. Because they can't do the things that they want to do. Right? And just the spiritual side, we talked about that. Man, when you have the Holy Spirit living in through you and your purpose, dude, everything blows up. So kind of talking about Maggie's podcast.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about Maggie's podcast. She could not find anything out there. And so what I tell young PTs, because again, a lot of physical therapists come to Freedom, right? As college kids wanting to go into PT school, and people that are in PT school, and even just PTs now, they'll come to Freedom and be like, Donnie, I want to do what you do. I want to own something like this. And I look at them and I go, hey, if you can't find anything out there where you could go be a part of their team and help them be successful, like you just go jump on it.
Yeah.
If you can't find it with, you got to start your own thing.
Yeah.
But if you can find something
and learn,
right? If you find something where you can fit and grow and do well, come and start your own thing.
Yeah.
Go fit into the culture and the company that's there, and then go be an entrepreneur where you blow that thing up.
Yep.
And you'll be very successful. And you'll do really well because you found the clinic, you found the business, you found the home that's going to allow for you to be you and be prosperous. So when I started into PT, I had all those experiences with hot packs and things like that. I realized I don't know that I'm going to find anything that I want.
Yep.
To where I'm going to fit in, and I can do that. I also felt very, very strong within the leadership skills that I had acquired as a pastor. I felt gifted with communicating with people. And then honestly, I just had the right people at the right time help me and mentor me as I was going to PT school. And there's quite an interesting story at that point as well, because I started Freedom right out of PT school. Very much like you with UCLA. You started Sarah as a business model in business school.
Yeah.
I started Freedom in PT school as a business model, and I started right after. Then I just launched it. I'm full in.
Oh, that's
10 years in. 10 years in.
That's so cool. And describe, I know we've talked about this at length, but describe what you built here at Freedom and how it's different than what you might find at other clinics.
Yeah, so it is the story. I fully believe that physical therapists belong in the fitness industry. I really do. I have a strong sense that as a business, we need to have cash-based services.
Yep.
We can't just rely on insurance based off of basically what you said. You defined it really well. I have never heard that silver tsunami in my life. And I have no idea what that is in the sense of terms. But in reality, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to have a lot of insurance money here soon. And so I see the writing on the wall, just like you described, and we got to do something different. So not only from the patient's better health, meaning we don't just help them walk better. We help them walk better and change their habits and their beliefs, if we can, so that they can exercise for the rest of their life.
Yep.
And if we can give them the right tools to actually exercise for the rest of their life, little changes over a long period of time have the greatest results, right? James Clear.
I'm gonna
Atomic Habits.
Yeah,
I knew you were gonna quote it. I was like, this guy's pulling out books. I'm gonna get it before you. Atomic Habits, James Clear.
Yeah,
small little changes over a long period of time had the greatest results.
Thank you for listening to this episode. This would not be possible without the sponsorship of Sarah Health. Sarah is the relationship operating system for physical therapy practices, driving better patient outcomes, improved arrival rate, and improved financial margins. If you'd like to learn more, check them out at sarahealth.com, sarahealth.com. And if you'd be interested in advertising with us and helping us produce even more great stories, please let us know at steven@sarahealth.com. Now, back to the episode. I love your thoughts on this question.
Mm-hmm.
A physical therapist is, in my mind, a movement health expert and a behavioral change expert.
Great. They struggle with the behavioral change. Sorry, what was your question?
So, which one do you think the best PT, like how would you fill those buckets? Is it 50-50? Is it 60-40? Is it 40-60? Like how?
Oh man, great question. Is it 100-100?
100-100. Okay.
Yeah, you've got to know what you're doing, from that doctor movement. And we have direct access now. So, I mean, differential diagnosis is important. We need to make sure that we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And when you put the big D in front of your name, this is something that I loved about my doctoral program. They always said, hey, if you put the big D in front of your name, you better know when to hold them and when to fold them, right? You need to know what you're doing.
Yeah. That's a really,
So let's think about that on that side of it. Okay. And then the behavioral change one, I think that's becoming more apparent now.
Yeah.
Maybe because of the direct access, I'm not sure, but it seems to be from when I was in the clinic a long time ago, that was not a thing. There was no behavioral change because it was just do this thing, do this hot pack, do this little thing. We'll get you out of some pain for a little bit. You'll be good. That's how it felt as a 17-year-old in that clinic.
Yeah.
Fast forward now, almost 40 years old, been in this industry. The behavioral change thing is becoming a new thing.
I have a theory.
Yeah.
If you want to hear it.
Right.
And I love your thoughts on it. So 20 years ago, the thought that if doctor prescribes it, it'll fix what ails me that was it, right? And doctors actually has time to spend with you. So that was another piece of it. Now I think there is so much distrust in this medical industrial complex that we find ourselves in. Like, hey, here, take this pill, do this thing. Like and people are starting to question that. I'm like, wait. What if I just got some extra sleep? What if I just cleaned up my diet? What if I just was able to move more, right? Like, what about these things that I have within my control? Like, I want agency back. And it feels like people, and then you look at, okay, that's a great theory, Stephen. Like, bring some data in to be able to support that. And I think you can see the rise of direct primary care as a major indicator of this. And people are just opting out completely and saying, no, I want to go to somebody who's going to spend some time with me and actually give me some non-pharmaceutical tools in order to be able to manage my own health, right? So I see that rise as a major data point, and where I think physical therapists have a massive opportunity is alongside direct primary care. And I think there's, like, you have your direct primary care and like direct movement care. Like, I don't know what it is yet, but you can look at what's happening in the market and get so bummed out by the graph that shows that the Medicare RVU is less today than it was in 1994. Yeah. You could look at the debt to income ratio for a PT coming out of school. You have plenty of reasons to be bummed, but I think it's closer to a tipping point than people want to be optimistic about.
Yeah, and that's a double-edged sword. Yeah. That's a really double-edged sword, because on one end of it, you want people to still trust.
Right.
We still want people to trust. Okay. And so that's one side of it. The other side of it too is we have to understand our roles.
Yeah.
Right. We just need to understand our roles. Physicians with medicine, they are not bad. It's not.
No.
It's not.
No.
It's not bad. And I know you weren't necessarily scripting it that way. They have a job to keep you alive. And they're doing a better job at their job than we are with what our roles are. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I really believe it. They're doing a better job of keeping people alive than we are doing of providing the tools they need, behavioral change, right, and resources to keep them having a higher quality of life. And so, Peter Attia's information on Outlive describes that, right? And he's the first person that's come out really that's described it with not only this contextual, like, theoretical idea, but now he's bringing, right, hard evidence and facts to it. So he used the 4 Deadly Horsemen as his outline for his book to say, hey, these are the ways that we're keeping people alive through medicine. Great. We need this now to keep them functional through their life.
Yep.
So I think that's something to where physical therapists belong in the fitness industry as they continue to get better at behavioral change, because they are the doctor's movement. It is very well known that no other medical practitioner or anyone on the planet has the knowledge, the education, and the ability to impact and affect someone's ability to move better. But it got to go further than that. It can't stop there.
Yep.
You need to get them to move better and more effectively. But then you need to take them to those next steps. Give them the tools so that they can, have this simple way to have a higher quality of life. And since you're allowing me to be on this podcast, right, and share the thoughts that are happening in my head, the fitness industry is going crazy. It really is.
Yeah.
And they need to survive. The fitness industry needs to go crazy because the CDC, I just looked it up. Okay, I just wrote an article for the private practice section so that all this is right fresh in my brain. The CDC says that there's about 22% of Americans that actually exercise within the confines of what they believe to be enough, right? 22%.
Well, that's almost the exact opposite of the estimated 80% of people that are metabolically ill, right? So
exactly, it makes sense. You got it.
Yeah.
Right? So the CDC is going to have those guidelines to do that. So if we have 22% of Americans that actually exercise, so let's say that that's the pool that the exercise industry has to go after. I know that they hypothetically say that they're going after the 80%.
No, that information's too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going after the 22% of people that exercise. And here's a case study of that, right? My wife, when we started the fitness side of this, was constantly telling me, you have to get people in here that look fit. If you don't, it's not going to work. And she's a young, fit mom who exercises and does all that stuff. So she's trying to get all of her young, fit moms to come here. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, yo, Jesus didn't come here for the healthy. He came here for the sick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going after that 22%. So not to go into that side, but the reality is she was wanting to get into that 22% to fight for them.
Yeah.
Because that's where she kind of fit in.
Yeah.
She's like, you need to fit into that. I'm like, no, I'm going after the 80, right? I'm going after the 80%. So going back to why the fitness industry is a little, disruptive in that sense, they have to make themselves a little bit better than the next person in order to differentiate themselves out so that they can attract one of those 22%.
Yeah.
That is a what's the word? A cycle for disaster.
Yeah.
Because you're just having to one up.
It's commoditization, and then you're just basically competing on who's cheaper or something like that.
Whatever it is.
And it also makes it seem like you would enter that very much a mindset of scarcity because it feels scarce, right? Versus an abundance, which going after the 80% would be able to give you there's always going to be more.
Yeah, and you know what I loved about that as well? When I first moved to Kansas City, there was a physical therapist that actually took me under his wing. Right, his name was Biagio. He owned Elite PT. I think he's still out there, Elite PT. And I finally, after 2 or 3 times of him meeting with me, I looked at him like, dude, why are you helping me? Why are you helping me? And I'll never forget what he said. He's like, first of all, I've been doing this for 10 years, 15 years or something. You don't scare me. You don't even know what you're doing. You're no threat to me.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really all that he was saying. He was also trying to say, dude, the ocean's vast of people we can help, right? Then, a report came out recently, Heidi Genetic with WebPT kind of posted this report, and she said, the report said, maybe this. I think she said that there's 90% of people that would benefit from physical therapy services that never come.
Yeah.
So the physical therapy industry is doing the same thing as the fitness industry.
Yep.
We're fighting for the 10% of people that actually would come to us and work with us. So we have passion about that. But the scarcity mindset. Why am I fighting with all the other PT clinics in the area when there's 90% of people that we can help?
Yep.
Why would I go fight against the fitness industry to help the 22% of people that already believe in fitness?
Yep.
When there's an ocean of people that we can help. Physical therapy is starting to go down that same track of the fitness industry. And you can see it on social media.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Scarcity mindset. Are we cheaper than the next person? Do we have a fancier tool than the next person? Do we have, you name it, right? How are we differentiating ourselves from the other clinics? That's where I'm telling people it's the wrong mindset.
I would agree. There's a book called $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi, and he has this I guess call it a framework of niche slapping somebody. So right, like
Niche slapping.
yeah. So like, don't be afraid to get hyper niche. Like don't niche down, and I think that it seems like then I'm gonna wall myself off from all these. No, you were always walled off from these other things. Like and you, I think there's so much opportunity for physical therapy, groups or individuals to be able to get after that 90% by actually going and niching down, right? Like, hey, I only want to see postpartum moms. Like, okay, like, and see them locally and figure that out. Like, if you just focused on that, creating a good relationship with 3 or 4 OBs, like, you probably have a fully functional clinic within, right? Like you can see that. Or like, I want to focus solely on senior living communities and I'm not even looking at the AL assisted living, like only those with independent living. And I want to get those folks better.
Yeah.
Like, and I think as I've come in for physical therapy here myself, and also for a couple of the fitness classes, right? Like, I see who you're bringing in, and I think that Dr. Atia, if he ever were to visit, he would be thrilled to see the health span that you're driving.
Yeah, but yes, you're right. So, and the thing that I push back on that though is all the marketing books, right? Yeah. The marketing books say that if you're selling to everybody, you're selling to nobody.
Yep.
Right. And I mean, you know that better than I do, but those are some of the things that I picked up, and that is hard. When you've got the masses, it is really difficult with that. But it kind of goes back to, can you reach a wider scope of person? And if you can, how can you? Because it does become a very difficult marketing tool, because you're like, we've got all these avatars, right? Because we see geriatrics, we see middle age, we see young athletes, we see, little guys, we see pelvic floor, we see post-op, we see, professional athlete. Like, you put the whole span out there. We see stroke, we see cardiac, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's really hard to do that. And then you go niche, right?
Yep.
Oh, well, we have a running assessment. We have a throwing assessment. We do dry needling, right? We do strength training for runners. We do strength training for baseball players. I just kind of, in essence, just mapped out freedom.
Yep.
And one of the struggles we do have is how do we market each of those avatars, right? We just started pulling in soccer, or we're partnering with, local soccer clubs, because we've got a PT that was a soccer player, and I happen to love soccer.
Yep.
Right. And I'm like, let's go. So we use the network of people that we have, but it's one more avatar, and that's hard to market. So you understand that from that business sense. But what I'm getting at is the reality is that's not what you're marketing.
Right.
I'm not marketing soccer. I'm not marketing throwing assistant. I'm not marketing strength training for runners at Freedom. What I'm marketing is what you said, this health span idea of, I'm going to take you, whoever you are, from where you are, and I'm going to help set you up to where you can move efficiently and effectively and be stronger, so that you are less likely to be in pain. Okay. Because the body does some amazing things. We have the DNA to heal ourselves.
Yep.
We just need to put you in the right environment. And physical therapists can do that, right? Very educatedly.
Yep.
We put you there. Okay. Now what do we do to help push the boundaries so that not only are you less likely to get injured, but now you're healthier for the long run.
Yep. But I would.
So that's what we're selling. So that's the thing. So it's soccer, avatar, whatever, running this. We're going to set you up to where you can have behavioral change.
Yeah.
So that you can be the most effective with exercise.
Right.
Not nutrition, not supplements, not medication. Okay. Those aren't our specialties. We are exercise, which is the lowest hanging fruit. That's the lowest hanging fruit.
I say even that in itself is hyper specific, right?
Got it.
Now, yes, you talk about the breadth of sports and the application of the exercise, sure. But like, you are looking for an individual that wants not just to get back to 80%, right, that insurance will pay for, but is invested to get back to 100 or 110% and wants something, like wants a facility that they can do that in one fell swoop.
And that's everybody. Everybody wants that. Okay. Here's the problem, right? And this is what I tell my PTs. Okay. Everybody wants that so bad. Nobody wants to be 70, 80, 90 and, decrepit and crippled and sick. Nobody wants that. In fact, we're starting to see a generation of 60 and 70-year-olds that watch their parents do that.
Yeah.
Because we think about medicine hit its stride just recently, right? It really did. And so we're about the third generation, fourth generation or so, that is living this long.
Yeah.
We really are, right? So 2 generations ago, they had no idea. They didn't know what they didn't know.
Yeah.
So they just kind of did their thing and died, and they just figured that was old age.
Yep.
And the next generation did the same kind of thing, but they have a little bit more information, so they're trying to figure it all out. The third generation, which is my parents, your parents, they're like, I don't want to die like that.
Yep.
I wish I could die like the people, like my great grandparents, right? Or my grandparents. I want to die like that. 67 years old, just all of a sudden I'm out working. Boom. You know what I'm saying? Rather than this comatose state of 40 medications a day to just keep my body pumping.
Yeah.
But I could barely get out of my house, right? I have to conserve my energy, and I need to decide when I want to go to the mailbox or not. That's what people don't want. Here's the problem, right? There is a disconnect between people's goals and where they're at right now. And they don't know how to get there.
Right.
They don't know how to get there. They need a guide. They need someone to help them get there. 90% of people that would benefit from physical therapy services never go. Those people are looking to the 22% fitness industry for help.
Yeah.
They're looking for help to get them to these things. But we just talked about the 22% in that fitness industry is continually upping people.
Which makes it even less accessible.
It's not only less accessible, right? But you're more likely to get injured.
Yeah.
If you're, far behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
You're going to go in there. You're going to survive 3 or 4 weeks. You're going to fail. You're going to think it's your fault. You're going to walk out of there completely demoralized, dejected, and you're going to go back to this idea that it just sucks to get old.
Yeah.
Right? Because you no longer can actually achieve fitness and health. And that's what drives people crazy, is this understanding of where I'm at right now is not where I want to be, but I don't know how to get there. And I don't have anyone to help me.
Well, speaking of Dr. T, he actually just had a doctor, I think it's Luke Van Loon, talking about some of their research that they've done on protein synthesis and muscle activation. And basically they found that a 90-year-old's muscle actually responded in the same way to stimulus as an 18-year-old's muscle, which was wild. So I think there's not only anecdotal or anecdata, right, that I'm sure you supply to your patients for reasons for hope, but even just down to the actual mechanisms of muscle and creation and protein synthesis, like there's data there too, like the entire way.
Yeah, and again, as we continue to understand the body more and more, we'll challenge this thought process of, the body slowing down and things like that. Like, I know that we will. Yeah. It's a fact. Because again, that was very much pushed in the 90s, even in the early 2000s. Like, as you get older, you're like slowing down, your muscles can't build. And again, there's some realities of truth to that. But how much of it is it the reality of the DNA that's in our system, or the lifestyles and the habits of which eventually gets there? So I think that's where Peter T is trying to challenge this thought process of how much of it is actual, cells,
right?
Physiology, mechanisms, anatomical structure, all that. We're on, and he's challenging that. And again, what we tell people, right, is if you put yourself in the right environment and you do small little things over a long period of time, you will see the greatest amount of change. That's the idea. And therefore, it kind of goes back to that behavioral habit change. That's almost the most important part. What are you doing now, right? And with that said, I work in the physical therapy industry where we are very much physically minded. We are not experts in mental health. But I think what's killing us faster than anything is our anxiety over trying to be physically perfect. And therefore, because we cannot make it happen, or we don't have the guide to help us, we get anxious, right? I'm wearing this Garmin watch right now.
Same.
All right, we're in Kansas City. Garmin headquarters are right here. Love this thing. Love it to death, but I hate it at the same time, right?
Yeah.
I get home every day. I have a stressed day every day, right? How is it that every day I'm stressed out of my mind? Well, the reality is I probably am, right? Then I stress that I'm stressed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I gotta look up my HRV stats.
Yep.
oh my gosh,
What's my body battery?
Yeah, it's
all
fine.
Yeah,
It's like
6 p.m.
Like, dude, I got up at 5:30 and I ran like with my buddies. Like, I had good fellowship. I did all that. I ate oatmeal and I did all the right things. I had a cup of coffee. It got myself going. Then I had a protein thing because that's when I was supposed to do it at the right time. Then I went to work, right? I had a stressful day at work, but I tried to take some mental time where I could do some breathing. Like, I did all that stuff and I do all the right things. And then I get home, body battery's dead. I'm stressed out of the hill. My HRV is down and I know it. And it's all data and it's there. And so sometimes I think that is a blessing, but it also is a curse. So I know that we've been talking about this physical change and how people need to do better and they could do these things. But sometimes, man, we just need to breathe.
Yeah.
And just be okay. And that's why going back to the broken neck thing, like if we're really putting this into context, what a blessing it was that the neurosurgeon's like, go.
Yeah.
Like 8 weeks, yeah, you're good, right? Because had I not done that, right? Because I broke my neck in December.
Yeah.
Right. I was playing soccer in February with my high-level club soccer team at the time, right? And, I lost 30 pounds or whatever it was in the hospital in that week that I was there. So I was a gangly little, like, flopping, no muscle guy out there, but I still had the drive. I still had a little bit of the skills. Then after that, right, I realized I'm like, man, I'm not moving like I used to. Like, I'm not as fast. I'm not as strong. I'm not as athletic. And that's all I based my skills on.
Yeah.
I got with a coach and I said, dude, I need some help. He started training me on like little skills that I had not really relied on before. And so for months and months and months, I started doing skills training, right?
Yeah.
Like little 5-yard passes, little touches, little juggling, things like that I never relied on before, but now I needed because I didn't have the athleticism.
Yeah.
I went on to college to actually play at a really high level a couple months later. That wouldn't happen maybe today.
Yeah.
Right? It wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have had that journey. I wouldn't have had that narrative because we have way too much potential information.
Yeah.
And therefore I would have had 13 doctors telling me like, whoa. Right?
Yeah.
So I was one of the lucky ones back then that did well with less information. Nowadays, I get concerned that we get in a rat race a little bit with too much information and people suffer because of that. And it's mostly anxiety driven, more so than physical. Knowing what we know now, there is no doubt in my mind that it would have probably been better for me to rehab a little bit longer, right?
But to your point, ignorance is bliss in that scenario. This has been a blast. It's been an absolute blast.
Yeah, I know. It's like, how much are we going to go for another 2 hours here?
We could. The final question that I want to ask everybody, and I will ask you as well, is if you had a magic wand to change one thing about the PT industry, what would you change?
Gosh, that's hard because I've been so like tunnel vision on freedom for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So I've been to one conference, right? And I know that's horrible, right? But I just worked so hard on building this thing up that I haven't seen entirely what's out there. So I don't know that that's a fair question to ask me because I've been so tunnel vision on what's happening.
But maybe that's your magic wand.
Maybe it is.
Right? Because you're not the only person, you're not the only owner like that.
Yeah. I think you just answered the question. Right? I think maybe the magic wand that I can change is that I was a little bit more available to learn what's happening outside of here. Yeah. Of these, 4 walls. That's probably a good one. Yeah.
Well, we'll end on that.
Yeah. I guess you're right. I'm pretty driven with what we have going.
Yeah.
But to sit there and say that I have the ability to know exactly what's going out there, which is ironic because our mission here is to revolutionize the rehab and fitness industry. So maybe that's a little challenging point for me to take away is let's go out there and see what's happening.
I love it. Well, for those that would like to find you, where can they find you on social media? All that stuff.
So at Freedom PT, T as in Paul, T as in Tom, TC for Training Center. That's our Instagram handle. So at Freedom PT TC. Or you can email us info@freedompttc.com. That's also or www.freedompttc.com. All the freedom PTCs that there are there. But appreciate you, man. I really do. Kind of like your buddy said at UCLA. I feel the same way, man. I just am thankful for you as a human, as a person. And dude, I would invest in you all day, every day, no matter what it is. But Sarah Health, because of you and the extensions that you have and the beliefs that you have, you really are going after something that's pretty special. I feel like it's a race, right? And I'm just on your team rooting for you, right? Just cheering you on, excited to watch it from the sidelines, but just super grateful for you.
Well, thank you very much. And went on that. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Disruptors. I hope that you were able to take one or two things away that you can apply immediately to your own innovation journey. As always, I'm your host, Stephen Cohen. This is sponsored by Sarah Health. Let's keep moving.